I can listen now.
Run it up. Damn, you haven't done it even in a while. But welcome back to the company. My name is.
Are we live?
I think so. They were starting.
Yeah.
How you doing? I don't know how to run the introduction anymore, but yeah, man. It's been a while. We wanted to come back in, have another fun episode. Today we are talking to the Tony and Robbie. Feel me? If you're from Sacramento, you know who these guys are. But I'll let you guys do a quick introduction to yourself, and then Sammy, you can lead us in with your first question, man.
Yeah, Tony Christ, HOF. HOF is better. HOF, they call it. Tiger.
HOF's better.
Yeah, a bunch of different stuff.
That's what I thought it was. HOF's better.
Yeah, Sacramento born and raised. Left for a little bit, but you know, we back. We here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Robbie, DJ, HOF, Tiger, person, human.
This is what happens when you meet so many people all the time. You get kind of bored of talking to everybody.
just like once I get in the flow, it'll kind of start flowing out.
Yeah.
But the beginning parts are always.
You gotta slow it up.
I still have people don't believe that I have social anxiety, but like I really do, hella bad. I just gotten used to being able to break through it. Yeah, I mean, practice is a skill.
Yeah, definitely.
Nah, that's a fact. I feel like, you know, if your job is anywhere in the entertainment sphere, you kind of do have to fake it for a while. Like, I remember the first time I met you, I was like, damn, if anybody I ever met had a resting bitch face, it would be you. Bro, I think
I'm just be in my head, bro. I'm not even, sometimes I'm so, my mom called it like the eye of the tornado. It's just like,
all the tornado.
just like stuff can be spinning around you and like you just gotta stay, you know, grounded. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's like music is playing hella loud. There's like a bunch of stuff happening. I'm like having a conversation with someone here, but then like behind I'm seeing something happen and I need to go like, all right, I gotta finish this conversation, but I gotta go do this real quick. So it's like 1,000 things are constantly happening. I'm trying to like process them in a way that doesn't drive me insane.
This man has a super brain, and it's fucking. I already know it's just always going a million miles per hour.
So let's start it off. How did you guys meet together? How you guys got together?
We met at a coffee shop, man. It was just one little cute little.
And now it's a
We're all for the same steak.
Can we touch that?
No. Actually, we didn't even meet in Sacramento, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So like, we found out we had a lot of mutual friends. We were already actually a few years. So HO's been around for 15 years now. Almost 15 years, right? And the first few years, it was a little bit different. We had some different partners, some people that you probably know around the city. It was me, Byron, who's the executive chef here now, Damien, and my cousin Vinny, where we all went to high school together, went to West Campus. And we started HOF right after high school. Me and Byron were kind of sitting together, coming up with some, like we were going to LA all the time and just seeing these events and parties and different groups and stuff that were putting on these events. We're like, we need to do this in Sac. And I can dive deeper into that, but just to kind of go quickly into how we met, it was a few years into us doing HOF, and I was living in LA at the time, and Sean Khan, who's YBG and Cloud9 and a bunch of other stuff now as well too. He has like a bunch of concepts he's doing. He introduced us in LA, and we just kind of like the time when I really remember sitting down. I'm like, you know, you meet somebody, but then you like really like get them at a point. You know, like we were just sitting on top of this my friend's house at the time. She had this like spot in Santa Monica, and it would like overlook like all of Santa Monica. And we were just like sitting up there and we were like talking about like Entourage and like just different like shows and stuff that we hella fucked with. Me and Robert were up there talking. We were drinking at this time, so we were faded. And he was telling me about what he was doing at the time and like the direction I was trying to take HOF. We just really aligned. In that moment. And we're like, we should just let's work together, you know? And That's how I remember like really connecting with Robbie in that moment. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how deep you want to go into. Maybe you want to tell them a little about what you're doing before HOF, and I can kind of go into the beginning parts before Robbie was a part of it, and then how we kind of, bridge that gap. Yeah.
Straight out of high school, I was working with my best friend, Alex. He was in a DJ duo called LBCK, and I was a huge fan of Entourage and wanted to be a manager. I didn't know what that meant, but I was just like, I'm gonna be your manager. And I started like just doing everything I could possibly think of to just like get him like popping, and Hype Machine was like the hottest thing at the time for discovering music. So I was just like, how do we get you like on there, and how do we get you like a #1 spot on there? Because that was how like Chainsmokers blew up. That was how like Crookers blew up, how Kid Cudi blew up, like how so many people at that time, 15 years ago, were blowing up. And so I got into blogging, and I got into like repping more artists and stuff like that. And Sean Khan was doing a music video in LA and wanted LBCK to like be there, and I think DJ and like also like wear some of the shirts and whatever. And that's how I met Tony. And honestly, I was like, this is the coolest person I've ever met. I just want to be this guy's best friend. That's what I remember. I definitely remember the rooftop too. I don't remember what we talked about because we were for sure faded. I remember like that spot, looking over Santa Monica, and just like, I was like, this is dope. Like, I'm probably like what, 20 at the time, and I'm just like, living this LA dream, people that are just like doing cool shit. And yeah, that's my recollection of how we linked up.
No, I'm gonna say like off rip, you guys do give that like cohesive vibe. Like when I think I met you first, and then I met you after, and immediately I did. Even though I said the rest in bitch face thing, I think it was more that you came off as like a cool and like collected dude. Like, cause I think I had just thrown an event for the first time ever, and like that was my first taste of even a tenth of what you guys do on a day-to-day like basis, right? And I remember I came in and I was talking to you, and like your eyes were like glazed over, and I'm like, oh, he got like 60 different things running around like that. But you guys come off both as like these two dudes are just kind of trying to run some shit and like keep everything flowing. So that's dope. But I think my thing would be like, how do you keep a friendship for 15 years plus, bro? Like,
I mean, it's yin and yang, bro. It's like we legitimately have different strengths. We're different people. He's white, I'm black.
Like, we're just have different lives. So like we just have like a different, like we complement each other really well. You know what I mean?
So I think a lot of times when you originally start doing, you're like looking for partnerships. Sometimes you're like, who shares my values like completely. Like we have a lot of overlapping values, like sobriety is one of them. But there's like a lot of things that he does things that he enjoys, I don't enjoy doing. And there's things that I enjoy doing that he doesn't enjoy doing. And so those things, I think, make the relationship like work really well.
Yeah.
And yeah, like the first few years of HOF, it's coming right out of high school. And also, I mean, he's very like, he downplays like what he was doing during that time, but like he was working with big ass artists during that time too, doing like PR, and like Hype Machine was like Spotify during that time, bro. Like Hype Machine was like the spot that you go to like find the up and coming music, and he was like writing for different blogs that were posting on there. And so like the access that he had and the people that were coming through him, it was like Doja Cat, like it was like Chainsmokers, it was like artists that are big as fuck now. And when you're seeing it from, like when you're in that period, right? Like the artists that are big that you see on the radio, right? That say, the people that were say popping or during that time, they're looking at people that are on like the radio, right? But like us being in the scene, I'm looking at where Robbie's at, and I'm like, yo, he's tapped into what's next, right? Yeah. Like he's understanding like what the up and coming thing is, and really like setting trends for where we're going. And that's always where I try to live at, is like right before that kind of like pop space, you know? And so I don't even know if he fully comprehended where he was at. I was like, bro, you see what you're doing? Like, you're going off right now. You're going crazy, you know? But like, where I was at, like, I was more into growing our city, our people, right? Like, a lot of other people were, I would say, the people that were my same age or in the same kind of industry. They were booking big artists, you know, paying them a bunch of money to be a part of, you know, to utilize their audience. You know what I'm saying? Oh, it's grandma here. Yeah, B.
I was like wondering, I was like, damn, Tiger is popping 24/7 right now.
But yeah, I was seeing, like, everybody was kind of taking the route of, so let me book this big artist, and that's how I'm gonna get like my event popping, right? That's how I'm gonna get 500 to 1,000 people to show up. I'm gonna tap into this network of this DJ or this rapper or whatever. And with HOF, we have found, it was like right, and this is just a crazy thing to even talk about now, but it was, when we started, MySpace started like right towards my end, like the end of high school for me. And so it was like, beginning, like there wasn't ads on social media, there wasn't none of that stuff, bro. Like, right after we got out of high school, like, we were utilizing social media without advertisements, right? So it was like bulletins, and then just, you know, people that just had pop-in MySpaces and things like that. And I went to a bunch of high schools. So like, I went to a bunch of schools. After 6th grade, I basically went to a different school every year, or even during summer school, because I just liked going to different schools.
Yeah.
So I knew people from all different areas. So when I was throwing parties, I was like, oh, I got somebody at McClatchy, I got someone at Franklin, I got someone at Rio Linda, I got someone at, like, I had someone from different schools, from Laguna. I played sports too, so I knew people that played sports. I just had all these, I was tapped in that way. And not only did I have that without social media, but then I understood how to utilize it in addition to having social media, right? And so we were doing parties, like we would do house parties, it'd be like 500 people show up, you know? And then we'd do like warehouse things, it'd be like 2,500 people show up, like, you know what I mean? And this is just off the homies, DJing, like local rappers only, right? And like, this is like right around the Ace of Spades time. Like the only venue that can house 2,500 people is like a Memorial Auditorium, right? Like Ace is too big for Ace of Spades. And so the types of people that we were moving during that time was crazy, right? Trying to get into that next period of like, what do we do with this like influence that we had? I was like, I don't really know which way to go with this. Like, I'm not sure where to go with this. And so I was going out to LA. You need to go by? Yeah, go for it. I was going back and forth to LA a lot. My girlfriend at the time lived out there. And her uncle worked. I was just like telling him what we're doing. He's just like, oh, he really understands, like he didn't understand social media at the time either. And he's just like, you need to come out here and like work for me. Like you're going to school and you're doing what you're doing, but like I went to school for biology, like, and I'm doing marketing, you know what I'm saying? And so he's like, just come work for me and I'll teach you what I know, you know? And we continued to do parties in Sacramento during that time. But we slowed down the amount that we were doing. We kind of started doing like quarterly at the most. Like we do like every 3 months we do a party. Sometimes, some years we'd only do like 1 or 2 like really big parties. We'd be planning them all year, saving up money, doing that type of stuff. And then that got to a point where like Vinny, who wanted to really focus on DJing like more consistently, he was like, I'm gonna kind of go do my own thing. So Vinny kind of backed away from HOF during that time. Byron started like focusing on cooking a little bit more, and we were still collaborating on a lot of stuff, hanging out a lot. So one of my best friends But he's like, I think I want to focus more on the cooking side of things, you know? And so it was like me and Damien was started to focus more on like the logistics of things, which was really helpful because before he was more of like a promoter. Like he was just like football player, like, you know what I mean? Get the shorties type of dude, you know what I mean?
Close.
So that's what he was kind of doing before, but then he kind of was like, yo, I want to really like take this serious and start, you know, learning the logistics side. And so that became like a good, like we started understanding our roles a little bit more. But there was just like we would put people on these stages and a lot of them wouldn't really be ready, right? So like DJ wise or like performance wise, and we're like, how do we really like maximize supporting this local talent, you know? And then when I linked up with Robbie, his whole thing was about putting artists on. And I was like, yo, I want to put on like artists, like what if we did a record label? What if we did like, you know, these different things? And so he started bringing the stuff that was working for him, and the pieces that I was missing and wanted to kind of bridge the gap for, he was doing that already, you know?
Yeah.
Tab. Go for it.
Run it.
Some snacks.
Brought food for us.
Okay. And so yeah, so when I heard what Robbie was doing, I was like, yo, like we need to tap in for sure, you know? That's when we started really diving into the record label during that time.
And the blog.
Yeah, the record label and the blog. So like during this time, there was a lot more about like having a poppin' blog, you know, like a place for people to come. A lot of people that you know around the city, like right now, that do their own things that are very similar to HOF, like used to write for a blog or like used to like promote for us and stuff, you know? And we were just kind of getting people together, like, all right, who wants to write about fashion? Who wants to write about music? Who wants to, you know, do these different things? And they would come and they would like write on the HOF is Better website.
Yeah.
And we were getting artists like Chewy and Plus and DJs and like meshing, like getting LBCK to produce stuff for like rappers from Sac, which we thought was like really innovative at the time. And just like dropping singles and stuff with them. And maybe you could touch more on that, because that was like, this is when Robbie was really like diving into the blog side of things. We were still doing the parties quite a bit, but the blog became like the new, like one of the new anchors of like our marketing during this period.
I definitely think it's interesting to look back at it now, at that kind of point in time. Because my first introduction to HOF was this party that Tony took me to, that they had already been planning, the warehouse party on 12th and C.
Yeah.
And I love to tell that story because it's just like, it like opened my eyes to the party life, which I really hadn't been like a part of at all, and like was not very, I didn't like to go to parties. I was very, very, you know, socially awkward and just like reclusive and just, I'm gonna drink at home and just have a good time, whatever. But I went to this first HOF warehouse party, and it was the craziest shit I've ever seen in my life, for real. It was like at least 3,000 people like lined up like down like 3 blocks. I'm not joking. And then I get the pleasure of working the door, which is like maybe like a little bit of an induction kind of thing at the time.
Where's the door?
But I have this like in psychology they call it like those moments where you just, it's so crazy you remember it so vividly.
Yeah.
But this warehouse has this like half door, and like the bottom is closed and the top part is like swung open, and then it goes into the party this way. And I'm working the door, and like whatever, everybody's like supposed to pay like $5, $10, something like that. And I'm not taking change, I'm not giving change, I'm just like, come on, give me money. And I'm just like taking people's cash and I'm just throwing it behind me because there's so many people to get in a small amount of time. And I just remember like two vivid things, like looking back and it's a pile of cash, like Breaking Bad image, you know what I'm talking about?
Money.
It's like huge, bro. It's like huge. And I'm just like, yo. And then I walk in at the party and it's like 3,000 people raging to, I think Curtis was spitting, Jertz was DJing, and I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. Like, I want to do this the rest of my life, the show. But yeah, I love to tell that story. But I started bringing, like the blogging and the spotlighting of, local artists, local DJs, like you said, fashion, just like, how can we get people to build something here in Sacramento that's like a platform to show the dope people here in Sacramento. And we really ran the blog and the record label tough for I think 5 years from there. And this is before Instagram, which is crazy. So Instagram was just getting started, I think, a few years into that. And naturally blogs kind of died with Instagram blowing up, and it went more in that direction of us using our Instagram channel to not just promote the parties, but promote when Nate Curry's got a new release, or when whatever that our favorite Sacramento artists have something happening, we're using our channel to show off what they're doing. And I think that is an integral part of how we've gotten to where we are now, where there's kind of this two-faceted HOF that produces events and does parties and does crazy experiences and activations and stuff, and then we also have this side of it that's about showcasing really amazing things in Sacramento.
Look, when were you gonna say something? Because I've been waiting to tell you guys this. I don't know if anybody's giving you guys your flowers on it, but in terms of just from a purely business perspective, it runs so smoothly. If you throw an event, you then have the outlet that you can use to highlight the event as well. And the fact that you guys decided not to just focus on your own shit and then shut everybody else out, and to instead loop everybody else into it, that is, I think, business 101. Provide value to your community, make sure that everybody around you is able to engage in the product that you have, and you find success through that. So definitely kudos for how y'all run that for real, man.
I was gonna say, just analyzing right now you guys talking, I realized that you guys were willing to sacrifice time and money just to help other people. More importantly, help the artists, as you were saying, highlight them and showing them what they're willing to achieve. And I feel like you're on MySpace, and I'm thinking damn, if you're on MySpace, I was like, you should. I'm surprised you didn't get on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that if you guys off on YouTube, the back 2006 era.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Well, no, we were on YouTube. Yeah, we were on YouTube a lot. And we got some ones that we had some hitters on there and stuff. I think one thing that we have so many different things that we like to do.
Yeah.
That I think,
and how that
it's some things. This is something that we still talk about to this day, because we're doing record label, we're doing this, we're doing parties, we're doing music blog, we're always doing a lot of different things. That sometimes I say that not focusing in on just one platform probably negatively affected us at certain points,
Also, we weren't always as mentally whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
No, we were getting fucked up.
Yeah,
for
we had
part of it.
A great time.
We were having we were doing cool shit, but we were
it's still a part of the game.
Oh, you gotta enjoy what you're building. Yeah.
Well,
for real.
Part of that business, you gotta be interested in that.
And I would love to dive more into that, because I just feel parts of that are so important, and just so it's just important to the story, because it gives a wider kind of perspective on who we are and how we got to where we're at now, because we're always just oh, you guys don't drink, and that's why I'm just keep it so cool, and it's we're like this. I used to be crazy. I'm still crazy, bro.
Legitimately scared of Tony sometimes. And he was really, bro. He was really on when I was I want to be as far away as possible on this man,
bro.
As far away as possible.
It was part of my marketing strategy, for real. It was part of
You hyped it up.
Yeah, bro. It was like part of like we didn't have a venue at the time, so like part of my thing of just like promoting stuff would just be like I know how much like shock like will have people pay attention to something, right? Or like just being outlandish and things like that, right? Like I looked like I follow those people that were doing those types of things, and I thought it was really funny. Like I just thought it was. I'm already like that even as a sober person. You know what I'm saying? But like during that time, I would harness it to a different level. Like, all right, we're about to go out and just like I know this is the most popular party tonight, but like we're gonna go there and promote our shit. So like let's just go there and just act out. Like we're gonna be on tables. We're gonna be. You know what I mean? We'll spraying champagne, just like acting. I'm gonna get kicked out tonight.
Great black purpose, black Air Force that it be.
It didn't be like, who's that guy? That's the guy that does the craziest parties. You know what I mean? Like that was like, that was part of like what we did. Like before, I would stay in. We'd be planning a party, saving up money. I was like real methodical with it, you know, like. I'm planning, like he knows too, like we would sit down, even when we were doing house parties, like we're drawing out layouts, we're like writing out marketing plans, like I do pretty much all the design. So like I'm designing all the flyers, making the videos, like I was doing all of it in the beginning, and then now I'm better at like, you know, getting support with that, but we're doing it all in-house. Like we're doing everything in-house, meeting up all throughout the week, doing these types of things. And so like leading up to the party, I would just do that. And then like when it became marketing time, I was like, it's bro, we're going crazy. We're hitting the streets. We got all the flyers ready. We got all the tickets ready. Like I'll take a stack of tickets with me, go out and just go to parties and just go to different people's stuff and promote, you know?
Yeah.
That's dope. And yeah, like that got us meeting a lot of crazy people. I mean, like when DeMarcus Cousins was here in Sacramento, you know, we would like, there was nights we'd be with Drake and stuff, bro, like at random places in Sac.
Yeah.
And we're just acting out. We're acting crazy, bro. Like, I'm getting kicked out of places I brought Drake to. Like, I don't even take to like, bro. Like, bro, you gotta go, bro. I know you set this up, but you gotta leave. He's like, I was like that, bro. I was always tripping like that, like crazy. But it's like I had it was like with the right motives, but I didn't have it under control fully. You know what I'm saying? So it was like being able to get to that point where now it's understanding both sides of it. You know, like I understand when to turn it on, when to turn it off. Like, and I still have that side to me. You know, I still have that side to me, but like I show it in different ways. Like, you know,
it's crazy how you say that, because I thought you were like so down to earth. Like hella chill. You know.
Nah, I started seeing. I'm like, I started seeing the little update. We had one conversation. I was like, oh, this is person.
You be fucking with people just to fuck with them.
Yeah,
Bro, it's like I know it. I can recognize it now.
I think it makes sense though. Like you do have to balance that both sides of it, because I don't know, Sammy, if we were too close, but I think we were friends at the time. But like
it took a while for you and I to actually like meet up.
Yeah, because like
I wouldn't even give me a chance to present myself, my services. And I told him, what did I say to you?
Oh, you said like, you know, you'll never know the value somebody can bring to your life if you don't give them a chance to like, you know, show what they can bring. And that's why I fucked with you. Like, to be real straight up, like I'm kind of in the same boat where like I went to school for psychology, but like I'm an only child, moved from Jamaica. Like I'm moving every year. Like, I don't keep friends for that long. Like I keep friends for maybe 2-3 years. So to me, a lot of relationships were like, not necessarily disposable, but I would always expect them to end. You know what I mean? Yeah. So whenever I meet new people, I'm like, damn, like I'm about to go through another 4 months of being friends and then like not talk to you anymore. So
put the same energy into it.
Yeah, but when I hear somebody come to me and be like, bro, like this isn't only for my benefit. Like I'm bringing something to your life too. I have to respect that, you know? And I had like, when I had just moved, when I was just about to graduate college, like I started doing kind of that marketing portion of it too, where I'm like, it's hard for me. I grew up in New York, grew up in Queens, kind of grew up in the hood. Like I was hood adjacent. I won't claim like I was gang banging, but I had like half of my friends that was all doing that, right? So now I'm like this college educated kid that's coming out, and even with like some of the videos on the channel, like I'm very structured and I have to speak a certain way, because like once people see you in one light, they don't ever let it go. And then one day I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. and I dyed my hair blonde and just had a midlife crisis, just like 7 months, bro. And I just went crazy.
It was super saiyan.
Yeah, for real. Like that's what it did, but it gives that perspective of like, you know, I think especially in the entertainment sphere, I don't think that you guys and even me kind of stepping into it right now and us as a team, like we don't get the same amount of respect because they look at it and they're like, oh, they're just having fun. Like there's no planning that goes into that, or they're just inviting people out and getting drunk and drinking or whatever. It's like, no, what you're building right now is no different than somebody running a restaurant, because you guys have that too. It's no different than somebody organizing 1,000 people for a rally. It's like, do you understand how hard it is to keep people entertained?
Yeah.
It's probably one of the hardest things to do. So when you were talking about like that wild phase, I'm like, it's funny because I'm right now trying to merge those two sides of me. I've been like feeling like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde half the time, where I'd be shocked if like a lot of the people on the new page go to like my whole private page and see the bullshit that I was on.
Yeah.
I would say, I always say this to myself every time I'm meeting someone or friends or the family we choose for ourselves. You know, I looked as a friendship more than just a friend. You know, if I'm becoming your friend, say you're going to become part of my family as well. You know, we all have to sacrifice and learn and listen.
Yeah.
I think if people actually listen to what people can offer, you go a long ways.
Yep.
And that was one question I did have for you guys though, because you kind of mentioned it, the sobriety thing. Like, what was that moment that y'all were like, ah, shit, we can't keep doing this?
Honestly, a lot of moments. I had a few at least, but you know, I mean, not to get too dark, but like there was multiple times for me where I really thought I was gonna die, and I was so dependent on alcohol and Xanax and just like weed and just like fucking waking up shaking and like needing to drink just so I could like not shake, and just like, you know, really truly addicted and just like in the grips of it, you know. And it's crazy to me that, you know, being 6 years away from it now, that it was like that, but it was like that. And I really had to just like, I had to choose life. I was like, what am I gonna do to like survive this, like for real? Yeah, I mean, that's really it. And people always ask me like, you know, don't you find it hard to like, you know, be around drinking and drugs and whatever? And I'm just like, nah, because like I want to live for real. And it's just like, it's something that I'm past now. Like, I know where that goes for me, and I'm just like not even willing to take a chance with it.
Then we move down there, bro. That's what I was gonna say. Like, congrats on that too, because I remember that was one of the first times that I had like tried to reach out to you. You had posted something about that, and I'm like, being vulnerable online is a dangerous thing to do, but I rock with you for that, man. Like,
appreciate it.
Yeah,
sobriety. We definitely drink and use in a different way. So like, I'm like social out. Like, if I start drinking, I'm out for like 3 days straight type shit. Like, you know what I mean? And Robbie gets more to himself. We just it shows up differently in our lives, you know. But like for me, I definitely have those moments where I'm feeling super down or whatever, you know. But like, like my cousin explained it to me as like, bro, it's like being Superman, like walking around like a kryptonite ring, you know. It's like, I'm like choosing to not be my best self, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, being in business, it's like all about leverage, you know. Like, a lot of it's about leverage and trying to find those ways to like leverage relationships, leverage yourself, leverage different things. And for me, it's, you know, that was putting me in a space to not manage relationships well. Like, it was putting me in a space to not manage the perception of me well. It was putting me in a space to not manage like my time well, you know. Like, I still enjoy to have fun, I still travel, I still am super spontaneous, right? Like, I'm still like, yo, like, let's go to Vegas tonight type shit. Like, we still do that type of stuff, you know. But I'm not we're like, yo, like let's knock out all this work real quick before we go. Like, you know what I mean? Let's bring our laptops, we can get this stuff done on the plane, so we can have a good ass time, go Cirque du Soleil, you know what I mean, do whatever we're gonna do type stuff when we get there. So like, it's for me, like the stopping drinking was really about just having it all, you know, like I'm really happy I stopped drinking in the last few years, because it was like the last few years I had my grandmother and like my aunt that I'm really close with that passed last year, and like, thank you, just like a lot of relationships with like women that I felt like, you know, I didn't show up as my best self because I was like drinking and stuff during that time. And you know, we already have so much stuff that we're constantly like working on, right? And like life is already a challenge, you know what I'm saying? Like it's already a challenge. Like why am I gonna add something else onto it that like takes away from my energy, takes away from my clarity to be able to make good decisions, takes away from my pockets, so it costs me money. Like I'm the type of person, like I'll go out and I'll be like, I like taking care of my people even when I'm sober. Like I'm like, yo, we're going out, we go out to eat, well, it's on me, you know what I mean? And so when I'm out drinking, I'll be like, I spent $3,000 last night. That's all the money I had.
Right.
Like during that time, like during that period of my life, like that, I would spend all the money I had like at a night, just like going around, just having a good time, like, you know what I mean? And so now too, with like the access I have and the amount of money that we're making, like I'm like, bro, I would go out, I know I would do something really, really dumb.
I'm gonna rob you to afford it, like, hey, Rob.
Hey, man, I bought a horse last night, man, you know, we could put it downstairs, you know?
It's low-key good we went through all that when we were like not making money.
Yeah, like it was the amount that I was losing, to what I was making was equal, like, right? But it's like more, like there's more to lose now. Like I have more to lose, so I went through that period in that time. But
y'all got people that depend on you now too, so it's like you can't play like real more.
And that was a big thing too, bro. It's like when people look at us as successful, right? Like I was seeing other people that were like working under us, promoters, things like that, right? And I just saw them like mimicking kind of like what I was doing. You know what I'm saying? Like thinking that like, okay, this is how you're supposed to be to get where you're at. And like, I was like, they're not even seeing the work that's being done. Like they see what you show them, right? And if that's like the public perception of me is that, then people are going to like mimic that, you know what I'm saying? And so that was really important to me as well. You know what I mean? Like, how do I manage, you know, the people around me that look up to me? Like time with my family. Like I'm working till really late. We work a lot. Like now I'm like, you know, on Sundays I'm watching my nephew, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm not hungover all day, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm waking up going to do stuff with my mom, taking my grandma flowers type of stuff, like, you know what I mean? Trying to do those types of things not because I only wanted to do them, but because it matters to those people around me, you know? And I just didn't have the energy to do both, to party really hard like that, get all the work done, then also manage the relationships. It just becomes really heavy. So like now, you know, we're working out, we're spending that time like, you know, on our physical fitness, on our health, on what we eat.
You know, this is probably one of the best ones I've had, for real. Like, I think it's easy to, I feel like it's easy to look at people, and especially for me, this is something that I've been trying to not do a lot. Like that first judgment, I feel like I'm typically right about people. I can guess like who you are, like a little bit of your story or whatever, but the more that I've talked to people, especially in Sacramento, the more I'm like, there's a lot of people here that have gone through shit that I can't even fathom. Like there's a lot of journeys and stories where the end result looks so pretty, but then that path leading up to it is ugly. So you know what I mean? Like, the thing that I was really looking at is like the maturity it takes to like sacrifice those like habits that you have, and not necessarily do it because it was motivated for yourself or for the people around you. That's something where I'm 24 this year, and I'm turning 25 coming up, and I'm like, it's so hard for me to not be like, yo, I want to go wild out every single second of the day because I'm never gonna have this time period again. and then look and say, okay, you can go do that, but what happens if you waste Robert's time? What happens if you waste Sandy's time? What happens if you waste the time of the people that like really are trying to give you an opportunity to make something? You know what I mean? Like before we did the women's event, right? I'm out with a girl the whole night, and I'm sitting there and I'm drunk in the morning, and I'm like, bro, I'm having a Women's History Month event. It's like this is probably one of the most important things that we could do for the channel right now, and I'm putting it at risk, right?
Yeah.
And like I actually had like a come into I don't know, like come into myself moment, I guess, where you sit down and you're like, bro, if you don't take this opportunity seriously and you lose it because of some dumb shit, like you're holding yourself back.
Yeah.
You gotta like grow up for real. So hearing this, like when you ask how we doing, I'm like, this is the game right now. I think this is one of the main reasons why we wanted to hop on the pod with y'all.
Yeah.
Felt like people see you guys and don't really understand how much like work goes in the back end for real.
Okay. I remember I said too, real quick, let's touch on that. Like, I would say give yourself grace too, bro. Like, you know, there's, like, you really don't get this period again. And so, like, a lot of my mentors, like, there's a balance you can get between both of them to be able to have a good time and also, like, get the work done.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like be able to.
You looking for your bond? He's right there, right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, give yourself grace, like, use those things as motivation. Like I'm really in on therapy, right? Like I'm really to all my friends to get therapy type person. And like you almost can't be too rigid with yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes you have to go through certain things to be able to get to certain places, you know, and your motivations during this period, or during my periods of my life, like I allowed them to be there and just said, okay, how do I like not have this be something that is going to, like with women, for example, you know, it's like I'm going through a period where I want to be single. It's like, let me just not make any life altering decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like be smart about it. You know what I mean? Be communicative about things. Like, there's like this, when we started, bro, like entrepreneurship was not the cool thing to do. Like it wasn't Gary V's like online, like everybody got to be an entrepreneur. It was like everybody, bro, was talking to us like we're stupid, bro. Like legitimately, like our parents, like my mom came to my 10-year anniversary and was like, you're really doing something. I was like, 10 years? Every time I see my mom, doesn't matter when I see her, she'd be like, you going back to school? You da-da-da. I'm like, you see what you just did? Like I was just with the bear.
It wasn't until a few years ago that my mom wasn't like, you need to get into real estate.
Yeah. Like bro, like it's not like the support that we get now is like I take it with a grain of salt because I've been through so many different ups and downs through this. Like we've been through so many ups and downs together through this, where it's like, she knows, like there's times when you're on and there's times when it's like, it's very quiet. You're still working on it. People don't know what's going on. In your mind, you got to be able to stay focused on those things, right? And so like having grace with yourself and having grace with myself to be able to be like, it's not always about accomplishing something. Like sometimes I call it like sharpening knives times, bro. Like during COVID, it was like sharpening knives, bro. Like I took a statistics class just because I was like, I just want to take a class that people say is hard. You know what I mean? Like I read hella books. I wasn't trying to throw underground events and shit during that time. I was like, listen to sharpen my knives, be really quiet, be really still, get my mental health like in a really good space. And while there's a lot of chatter, you know what I'm saying? And so I hear what you're saying about like, you know, not wanting to jeopardize things. Like for sure don't want to jeopardize what you're doing, but like I've been able to like harness the things that motivate me to help me kind of get to that next point too, you know?
Okay,
So,
all right.
you know,
Some philosophy. All right.
it's just learning, bro. Just doing it over and over again, bro. Like, we just been through so many different
I'm taking that. It's a lot of new quotes I got now. It's gonna be sharpening knives. I'm telling everybody right, bro.
Yeah.
There was something that I remember. It basically, because over COVID, I you know, my mom the only reason why I'm even in Cali is because like when I was graduating, my mom got into a car accident, and I had to stay back and help her out. Like for like 2 years, she couldn't do anything, right? Like, and I got into psychology to help her because they didn't do a psych eval on her. So when you talk about addiction and stuff, like that's close to me as well, because like they gave her oxys and they didn't do a psych eval. So when you're prescribing stuff like that, you gotta see if people are likely to get addicted to it, right? Like it reverted her to like almost like 5th grade. Like she couldn't do anything on her own, whatever. So I went into psychology to learn. Like originally I was a hooper, like I'm this, airhead, like I'm out getting hoes and that's it. Got to psych to help her out, and like we literally rebuilt her personality from like the ground up. And since then, like all I've done is like focus on readings about like what the mind is, like how to like balance that with your soul, and like all of these other like I would say more like deeper concepts that people say they think about, but it's like there's a lot of people that have thought about this for a while. There's thousands of years of research. One of the biggest things that I've seen is that they talk about how you can't force yourself to do anything. You're not ever a unified person. You're a bunch of different ideas and thoughts and desires and wants. And if you don't let those kind of flow and just try to guide the flow, you're gonna end up trying to be a tyrant to yourself and never get anything done. And that was me for a very long time. So hearing that of like letting it flow and just kind of giving yourself grace, I think that's huge, man. Like, yeah, something that's learning though.
Yeah,
definitely learning
for sure. You had a question?
I was gonna say that the first time I met Rodney was at the art lofts, and I was like, man, I wonder what this guy does. Like, I was always questioning, like, what do you do?
Yep.
And then the moment came, then I saw you at Tigre. I'm like, man, this guy works in? Oh wait, like, I always saw you as like a question mark. When I first met you at the Black Experience event, that was actually the first time I actually shook your hand. And I was like, man, these guys are actually, I wanted to learn so much from you guys. Like I wanted to open a book, question you guys' minds, see where you guys at. I felt like you guys had pursued what you guys always wanted to do and never looked back. You guys,
I definitely look back.
well, yeah, looking back, but you always
I know what you mean.
forward.
I know what you mean.
Oh, for me it was like, and I've been talking a lot, so I'm gonna let Robbie hop in here, but like I didn't think past really where we're at right now. Like I would say over the last few years started to kind of like think about what it looks like after this,
Yeah.
because like I feel like legitimately I'm like living my like 18-year-old dream. You know what I'm saying? Like this was as big as it like got for me, you know what I mean? Just to be able to sustain myself and the people around me.
Yeah.
Like the amounts of just like how much we pay out to people. Like there's people here that have been rocking with us for like 15 years that were part of the beginning of the HOF story.
Yeah.
From like Byron to the
Eric is a childhood friend.
Eric was a childhood friend of his. Like my sister worked here full time for us. Like just like people that have been a part of our story for a really long time. Aunt, Chris, like they used to DJ our parties back in the day. Like they work here as well too.
Yes.
And just to be able to sustain everybody, like to be able to just pay your bills, like to me it was just like if I could just pay my bills and be able to live my life the way I want to on a regular basis, wake up when I want to, like do what I want to do the way I want to do it, and not have someone tell me how I had to do it, like that was dream, that was win, that was life gold, that, you understand? And so like the looking back part of like, going forward and be like, I'm not looking back, that was really all I was looking forward towards, you know what I mean? And we were working jobs to sustain what we're doing and pay for the stuff that we're doing to kind of try and figure it out. But now it's like, sky's the limit for real. Like sky's the limit for real. And what does it look like to, like, we're looking forward, like how much bigger does this get? You know what I mean? Like we have access to like people that I would never think would want me to sit at the table with them, we're having meetings with them where they're asking us what we want for the city, right? And how they can support us and doing more things like this. When we first started, it was like, yo, even people that threw parties and had venues were like, nah, you can't throw nothing here. Like, nah, we're not letting you in. And like those people own businesses next to us and stuff now, and they're like, oh, great job. It's like that. But you didn't never let me throw no shit at your place for we were doing the biggest parties, and so as far as like, just like looking back or going forward without looking back, I feel like just being able to try and figure things out with people that I really cared about. Like, we've known each other for a long time now. So like Byron and Damien, I've known them since like 2002. You know what I mean? Like 2002, so 2004, somewhere around there, like 2 and 4. You know what I mean? So it's like 20 years, bro. Like, it's like 20 years. Just to be able to work with these people still that I really care about. Yeah. I mean, we're not like making tech money. We're going for tech next. Like, that's another big thing we want to step into. But it's like, what we're living right now is a dream, bro. Like, legitimately, like I legitimately feel like I'm living the dream. I'm super grateful for what we're doing, for where we're at, and what we're working on.
So, talking about going forward, what do you guys got planned to your future? Even though you're living,
everybody just put Robbie up.
There's a lot of ideas on the boards, and right now we're in a beautiful space, like he said, where like for the first time in our lives, because up until a few years ago, we didn't have that like stability financially. Like, this is a beautiful space to be in, where, like you said, our bills are taken care of. We're able to take care of the people we love. And this is like a special period where it's like, all right, what do we really want to dive into like next? And there's a lot of ideas on the board. I couldn't tell you exactly what it's going to be, but I feel like we're people that just go with the flow and go with like what's kind of what the universe is naturally putting in front of us, and like it'll be revealed to us. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I've got an interesting question. How did you guys build the name Tigre?
So Tigre is like a different. Tigre was we kind of talk about the period before Tigre. So, we were going from, so we did HOF Day. Like, we did like 3 HOF days with Damien. He's not here right now. Really spearheaded, like he's YBG and did this Our Street Market and like a lot of those other really dope. They do a lot of branding, but they also do like some of their own events as well too. He really spearheaded HOF Day. I was living in Vegas at the time. I had come back from LA to live in Sacramento for a bit. We were living together. Was still kind of in transition of stopping drinking. Had stopped for a bit and then started back drinking again for like a few months. And we were like, how do we start really sustaining this model for us? We were doing these larger events, like they're really successful. On one of the HOF days, like we self-funded it. It cost us $250,000 to put on, and we self-funded it ourselves, And that was a big feat for us, but still we didn't make a lot of money. We were planning it all year, and even though we made a little bit of money, like it wasn't enough to make it make sense, right? Yeah. Like, all right, if we're gonna do this again another year, like we gotta figure out something else. Like, there's almost 10,000 people at this event, but we want to continue doing that, but there's some other things we need to start exploring. And I had went to Vegas because I just didn't find any venues out here that I felt were inspiring me to I was like, I think we need to get in the venue space. It's like a more regular way for us to do events, but like, who am I going to learn from out here? Like, I mean, not like to disrespect anybody out here, but like in Vegas, people were doing $250,000 days, right? Like, and so I was out there, we went out there for this emotional intelligence course that that his mom had put us on. So we were meeting like really cool people in this space and telling them what we were doing, and they're like, oh, you should work for Light Group, which then got bought by Hakkasan Group, which is now Tao Group, big ass like hospitality conglomerate, right? So they had like 22 venues at the time, so I was like, yo, that's who I want to work with. Like, tap me in with them. Got a job with them, started working the venues, really starting to see the systems, because like a lot of I would look at business plans during that time, a lot of them were like restaurant based, but we were more in the party space. There wasn't like good like nightclub like business plans. There's still not really good ones. Full point. And because everyone's so different, all the markets are really different, like the way that management is really different. And so went out there and I just started soaking up as much as I could, right? Like from them, from Light Group, how they ran things, how they ran their VIP services, how they ran their security, how they ran the promotions and their systems for locking in tables and things like that. And so I came back talking to Robbie and Damien about it, and we're just like, yo, like, let's start popping up at these bars that are like slow on Fridays and Saturdays, these restaurants that have a liquor license, or can do entertainment, but aren't bringing in the audiences that we obviously have, right? We're waiting a year to throw these parties, but we got 10,000 people that'll show up. What if we get 500 of those people to show up here on a Saturday, right? And so we got to a point where we were doing almost like 8 events a week. We had like 2 Friday night events, 2 Saturday night events at like different bars. Yeah. And then we had stuff during the week. We had like gaming nights at like Republic and shit, where it was like Nintendo game nights. And then it was just like a different night every spot, and we get a little split from the bar, a little door coverage type situation. And we were making hand over fist, bro. Like we were making fucking money. Like we were making hella money after we first started like making good money, like consistently. But we were just running into these issues where we couldn't really manage the operation. So like we send somebody here, we'd send 500 people to like a High Water or something, right? Or Vanguard, and the security there does something. We're not in charge of the security. Yeah. So someone's coming and getting experience. Our people are coming here getting experience, and we're not really the boss of the venue, right? Yeah. And so we started doing that at different places, and we're just like, and then promoters would like, the clubs and the venues would started putting other people on the outside of us. So like we do a Friday, get them to pop in, and then another promoter would come in and do Thursday and Saturday at like half the price of what we would do. And then the offering was hella different. So like they would throw a certain type of party, and we have the way that we do our shit. Like we do fucking festivals, bro. Like we're not just a random promoter and a DJ. Like we're like legitimate like event producers, but they would put us in the same category and treat us the same way. And so we did that for a minute. Made good money, started really getting consistent money that way, but it wasn't sustainable. We're like, yo, this isn't sustainable. We're like in a place for 3 to 6 months max before like we're making too much money where the venue doesn't want to pay us anymore. Right? They're just like, I'll make it too much. I'm like, bro, y'all were making nothing before we got here. What are you talking about? Like, crab in a barrel. And this is what's happening over and over again, no matter where we went, bro. We just be like, bro, like, I thought you were our fucking friends. All like, you're telling us we're not doing it here no more. Like, why not? Like, the shit's popping. Oh, we have someone else coming in and do it for literally $500 or something. Just come DJ, because it's already popping now, you know? And so, but then they would bring those people in, they would die off, and they'd come back to us, try to get us back. And I was like, bro, I'm tired of this. And so we got introduced to Sunny. Sunny is from Red Rabbit, and they own Red Rabbit. Sunny and Dave were our partners here on Tigre. And they had just opened Tigre at this time when we met them. And they had like a really good, it took off really well here at Tigre, but it hit like a lull. And it's such a huge space. It needs to go. It's such a huge space that they were like, this is not manageable. But we thought it was gonna be much more popping in the area. Like, we got to do something to make this better, you know. Clear. But yeah, so we were doing a bunch of different spots, and we're like, all right. We were looking at a place. We're looking to buy a venue. So like we're looking to purchase something, and Robbie's stepdad is a lawyer, and his mom's like really good at business as well too. And so like we bring a lot of stuff to them. My mom's a school teacher, like not diminishing anything she's done. She's taught me different things. She's the one that got me on books and Robert Kiyosaki, hella young, and like all that type of stuff. Like she's always given me really great knowledge, Tony Robbins, etc. And my dad's a security guard. Like he worked for Kaiser. Like they didn't have like business knowledge in the same way, but like his family is like tapped in that way. And so brought it to them. They're like, you guys do one piece of this really well, but like you don't know shit about
The back end.
doing the thing. And I was just like, damn it, like why don't they understand? And they were just like, but then we got into it and I was like, you right. Like, you right. There's a lot of shit we don't fucking know. But Sonny and Dave were like, hey, like we have this space. Like we're willing to do a partnership with you guys to like take over the entertainment. But we're like, we'll stop doing all the other stuff if you like give us like rights to take over full entertainment here. We went and got the entertainment permits, it's just different permits than what they had for just like drinking here, being like a cabaret license or something like that, so be able to like dance and stuff like that. I'm not sure if you'd be able to have live music plus dancing, but there's like a certain license you have to have for that, so we went and got that one. And we started Tigre After Dark, so that was like a separate brand on top of Tigre. And from that really just took off. Like it took off. This is right before COVID, and that was our first kind of like entry into like ownership, like into the space. Like there was a partnership agreement there. They're from like the tech space, so we had a good agreement that made a lot of sense for them and made a lot of sense for us. And then that's how we became like initial partners. Then once COVID happened, we were looking at some other places to go do like something that was completely ours. But we just had built so much traction here. And Sonny and Dave, Sonny is like really into the tech space. They exited a company together, him and Dave, and took it public. And so they just have like a lot of other stuff going outside of hospitality, and then they saw what we were doing, and they're just like, yo, like you guys really need to be the ones to lead the hospitality like leg of what we do. Like we have an understanding of the business side of things, and like we know you guys don't have history in like fully running and managing spaces, but we want to be larger partners with you guys. And so that's when COVID actually ended up being a positive for us, because we really reset here at Tigre, and we were like, all right, we're starting this shit fresh again. We took on a lot more responsibility, which turned into more ownership, you know, and we've been blessed to have really great partners like we do. Like Sonny and Dave trust us completely, and we really trust them, and they've been great mentors to us. So that's a long-winded answer to say that, like, you know, we were brought into Tigre from this hospitality group, and then was able to really like take it and mold it into what I feel like it was supposed to be from the beginning. This filthy, gorgeous vibe. And I feel like it was missing a little bit of the filthy in the beginning. It was very gorgeous. We added that piece into it that made it, you know, like there's graffiti downstairs, and there's like this like exposed brick. There's like Gucci wallpaper, right? Like we used to have Gucci pillows. Everybody stole them. We used to have Gucci pillows this whole place. It was sad though. They were just thinking, whoa. But like they took our Gucci pillows. We had one brush party. But it just worked out for us, bro. And like now we have other venues that we're working on now that we're gonna be launching in the next like month or so. Some other offsite stuff, like kind of in like Sac County, like some big event spaces that we're gonna be launching as well too. Just like random, we're just gonna continue dreaming, bro. That's like, you know, our goal is just be able to openly dream and just like not I didn't do this to live like this like structured, like boring, like this is going to work. Like my life is about being outlandish, and like that's the only thing that energizes me. Like I'm energized by being like, you can't do that, and I'll be like, okay. No, like bet, because everything I'm doing right now don't make no fucking sense. like everybody looks at it now like, oh, you guys you look what you're doing and such a good job and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bro, you're the same people saying that we're like dumb and wasting our lives on partying, and like you guys are just wasting your lives and
you just think you're gonna party for the rest of your life. I'm just like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm like, well, like you think, like, yeah, like this is social spaces, like this is culture. These are like these things that people. Just because you don't get it doesn't mean that I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you know what I'm saying? And even though I don't know what I'm doing, I'm still inspired by it. I'm gonna figure it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? So like, to take someone's, like, people, it's easy to me, like the whole entrepreneurship, like, vibe that's online is so like
bullshit.
It's so BS, bro, because it's so focused around like what you're gonna get out of it, and not so much like how you get to like create your own life, bro. Like, you get to create your own life and create new space. And I think a lot of entrepreneurship now is like, watch how I make $10,000 a month. Like, dude, these things, like, bro, so you're gonna go work another job? Like, you're literally you just go get a job. Like, just go get a job if that's what you're about to do. You know what I mean? But like, to me, like, this entrepreneurship is about taking something that you want to see in the world happen, or something you see is like missing, and like and doing it for the right reasons and providing value, and then obviously that value is going to be exchanged for money, right? What are you going to bring into the market or into the world that is different or new, or your take on it, right? Like, not just what you're doing to make $1, you know? Like, that's what this is, and that's how it's become, and that's what's made it what it is. But like, how do you put your stamp on the world, you know? And people will reward you for that. Like, people will reward you for that, but that should not be the motive. Like, the motive is not to go get those things, right? Like, just to go get, you know, money, and just to go get these, you know, I want girls around there, I want da-da-da. It's like, bro, like, that's not what this is. That's never what this has been about, bro. Like, a lot of the times I've been in a relationship, majority of the time I've been in this business, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
And those other things that have come with it have just been like, oh shit, I didn't know this was a perk. Oh, that's crazy. Like, that's crazy. Like, but it's not something that, like, it's not like a motivating factor for me, because I feel like when you try to do it for that, it never comes out authentically, right? Yeah. Like, it never works out the way you want to, when you just like, I'm doing it for this reason or this reason, and it's not going to fill that void that you think it's gonna fill, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like I've been talking way too much.
Nah, like you're whispering. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was just talking. This was a lot.
I don't feel like I've ever tried to define entrepreneurship and never really thought about it like that. But I really liked that it's about creating your own life.
Yeah.
Like, for me, it's like, I get to create time to work. I get to create time to like be with my family, create time to meditate, take care of my mental, like be the sharpest, best person I can be. I love that. I never thought of it like that. That's dope. Good job. Cool.
Yeah, beautiful.
Well said.
Is it
Hungry or what?
Yeah, I'm thinking it's about the time we wrap it up, because I'm like,
You know, like 2 hours.
yeah, but it's about an hour. Okay. That, I think it's good. Like that's like that last 30-minute time span right there. Like, that's what we want people to be able to come to the page and see. Like, we've had so many arguments internally, externally. Why are you guys like talking to DJs? Why are you trying to talk to artists from the hood or whatever? And it's like, bro, because just getting a template to make $10,000, like, doesn't make you a fucking entrepreneur. What makes you an entrepreneur is you wake up and you go to people and you're like, hey, I know how to make your life a little bit happier, and I'm gonna try to, and I have some cool shit that I want to see existing. And I think you laying that out, like, that's the 21st century version of building a business. It's no longer about getting these huge buildings that you have 500 little drops inside of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's about creating your own life and getting that time for the family and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I couldn't say it better myself, honestly. Like, this is probably one of the best podcasts we've done, man. Keep that, man. Like, did you guys want to close out anyway? Like,
Professional dreamers.
Yeah.
he's just ramping up for another hour and a half. It close us out, Robbie. What you got to say to the folks, man?
Thank you guys.
Oh yeah.
I know you said earlier you were, concerned on perspective of you guys, if it's a serious thing or if it's a whatever. I feel like you guys are doing a great job at hosting and like really like curating a good conversation and like You know, I like that it's not structured and you don't have bullet point questions, and you're actually painting a picture and like revisiting points and providing your own perspectives. And congrats to what you're doing.
Appreciate it.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. All right, y'all.
Thank you,
Welcome.
company.
Time for food.
Yeah. Thank you for visiting the company. Welcome to the company where we have great company.
Xavier just like say that.
The company where we have great company. That's fire.
It is just go through catchphrase, bro. All right, y'all. Appreciate the man behind the camera, Mr. Robert, like always.
Yes, sir.
All right. Oh yeah, that was like 2 hours, bro. Nah, y'all was fire though, man. Like that shit was dope as fuck, honestly.